Hey guys, Lord Naren White here, the Holy Ghost, the one true God. Back with you with the next video in my series reading Dracula by Bram Stoker. Without further ado, returning to Dracula as read by Lord Naren White. In one place, part of the stonework of the graves stretches out over the sandy pathway far below. There are walks with seats beside them through the churchyard, and people go and sit there all day long looking at the beautiful view and enjoying the breeze. I shall come and sit there as often as I work my as often as sit excuse me. I shall come and sit here often myself and work. Indeed, I am writing now with my book on my knee and listening to the talk of three old men who are sitting beside me. They seem to do nothing all day but sit here and talk. The harbor lies before me with, on the far side, one long granite wall stretching out into the sea, with a curve outwards at the end of it, in the middle of which is a lighthouse. A heavy sea wall runs along the outside of it. On the near side, the sea wall makes an elbow crooked inversely, and its end too has a lighthouse. Between the two piers there is a narrow opening into the harbor, which then suddenly widens. It is nice at high water, but when the tide is out it shoals away to nothing, and there is merely the stream of the Esk running between banks of the sand, with rocks here and there. Outside the harbor on this side there rises for about a half-mile a great reef, the sharp of which runs straight out from behind the south lighthouse. At the end of it is a buoy with a bell, which swings in bad weather, and sends in a mournful sound on the wind. They have a legend here that when a ship is lost, bells are heard out at sea. I must ask the old man about this. He is coming this way. He is a funny old man. He must be awfully old, for his face is gnarled and twisted like the bark of a tree. He tells me that he is nearly 100, and that he was a sailor in the Greenland fishing fleet when Waterloo was fought. He is, I am afraid, a very skeptical person, for when I asked him about the bells at sea and the white lady at the abbey, he said very brusquely, "I wouldn't fash, massa, about them, miss." Excuse me. This is his voice. "I wouldn't fash, massa, about them, miss. Them things be all wore out. Mind, I don't say that they never was, but I do say that they wasn't in my time. They be all very well for combers and trippers, and the like, but not for a nice young lady like you. Them feet folks from York and Leeds that be always eating curd herrings and drinking tea and looking out to buy cheap chat would creed out. I wonder, massa, who'd be bothered telling lies to them? Even the newspapers, which is full of fool talk." I thought he would be a good person to learn interesting things from, so I asked him if he would mind telling me something about the whale fishing in the old days. He was just settling himself to begin when the clock struck 6, whereupon he labored to get up and said, "I must gang againwards home now, miss. My granddaughter doesn't like to be kept waiting when the tea is ready, for it takes me time to crammel aboon the grease, for there be many of 'em, and, miss, I like belly timber sairly by the clock." He hobbled away, and I could see him hurrying, as well as he could, down the steps. The steps are a great feature on the place. They lead from the town to the church. There are hundreds of them. I do not know how many, and they wind up in a delicate curve. The slope is so gentle that a horse could easily get up and walk down them. I think they must originally have had something to do with the abbey. I shall go home too. Lucy went out, visiting with her mother, and as they were only duty calls, I did not go. One August. I came up here an hour ago with Lucy, and we had a most interesting talk with my old friend and the two others who always come and join him. He is evidently the Sir Oracle of them, and I should think must have been in his time a most dictatorial person. He will not admit anything, and down faces everybody. If he can't out argue them, he bullies them, and then takes their silence for agreement with his views. Lucy was looking sweetly pretty in her white lawn frock. She has got a beautiful color since she has been here. I noticed that the old men did not lose any time in coming and sitting near her when we sat down. She is so sweet with old people. I think they all fell in love with her on the spot. Even my old man succumbed and did not contradict her, but gave me double share instead. I got him on the subject of the legends, and he went off at once into a sort of sermon. I must try to remember it and put it down.
It be all fool talk, lock, stock, and barrel. That's what it be, and naught else. These bands and waffs and bogos and barguests and bogles and all on into them is only fit to set burns and dizzy women a belderin'. They'd be now but air blebs. They and all grims and signs and warnings be all invented by parsons and ilsome burke bodies and railway tutors to skeer and scunner halflins and to get folks to do something that they don't other incline to. It makes me ireful to think of 'em. Why, it's them that, not content with printing lies on paper and preaching them out of pulpits, does want to be cutting on them on the tombstones. Look here all round you and whate'er you will, all them steens holding up their heads as well as they can of their pride is a cant, simply tumbling down with the weight of the lies wrote on them. Here lies the body, or sacred to the memory, wrote on all of them. And yet in nigh half of them there bain't no bodies at all, and the memories of them bain't been cared a pinch of stuff about, much less sacred. Lies, all of them, nothing but lies of one kind or another. My God, but it'll be a queer scoundrelment at the day of judgment when they come tumbling up in their death sarks, all juped together and trying to drag their tombstones with them to prove how good they was. Some of them trembling and dithering, with their hands that dozent and slippery from lying in the sea, that they can't even keep grip of them.
I could see from the old fellow's self-satisfied air and the way in which he looked round for the approval of his cronies that he was showing off, so I put in a word to keep him going.
Oh, Mr. Swales, you can't be serious. Surely these tombstones are not all wrong. Yablins, there be more a poorish few not wrong, savin' where they make out the people too good. For there be folk that do think a bomb bowl be like the sea, if it only be their own. The whole thing be only lies. Now look you here. You come here a stranger, and you see this Kirkgarth.
I nodded, for I thought it better to assent, though I did not quite understand his dialect. I knew it had something to do with the church. He went on.
And you consait that all these steens be aboon folk that be happed here, snood and snog. I assented again. Then that be just where the lie comes in. Why, there be scores of these lay beds that be tomb as old Dun's buckabox on Friday night.
He nudged one of his companions, and they all laughed.
And my God, how could they be otherwise? Look at that one, the aftest abaft, the beer bank. Read it.
I went over and read.
Edward Spencelock, master mariner, murdered by pirates off the coast of Andres, April 1854, age 30.
When I came back, Mr. Swales went on. We'll go ahead and stop there for this week. As usual, I want to say thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed. Please like, comment, and subscribe, as it greatly helps the channel. Light be with you all. Take care, and thanks again.